Josh doesn't know what he's doing. So.
Well, preach it. Amen.
Well, that got recorded.
Hi, it's Kamon Reynolds, and I'm outside of West Liberty, Kentucky. It is a gorgeous day, not quite as warm as it was yesterday, over 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Up here, they're about 2 weeks, give or take a few days, behind where we are in northern Tennessee, but the bees are ahead for what they usually are. There's a lot of blossoms blooming, a lot of pollen coming in, and I am going to be checking with a friend of mine, a couple of his double deep production colonies, and also a couple colonies that had some disease issues last winter last fall, and see how they were doing. So our banjo player for Hive Life, Josh Cantrell's over here, and this is his bee yard. Josh, how you doing?
Hey everybody, how you doing, Bo?
Oh, we're doing pretty good. Handshake, there we go.
Good to see you.
We're having some fun messing with bees, and haven't picked any bluegrass, but we'll remedy that before too long.
Oh yeah, this is the first time we worked bees together, actually.
Well, it might be the last time we worked
bees
together. It might.
We've worked them together over the phone a lot, I can tell you that.
That's right. So we're going to get into these hives and check them out real quick. So it's a little bit cool today. Get them a little smoke up top, and other bees all the way up towards the lid. Our inner cover right here. Oh, look at those bees right there. There's a bunch of bees in that hive. Now, Josh gave me a 1 pound jar of sourwood honey. It was a multi-floral, but it did have a good bit of sourwood in it, and I could definitely taste it. If you ever had the real stuff, you'll know, and it's a hard honey to beat. So we're just going to push them down. It's in the mid 50s with a little bit of wind. There's just a little bit of feed still left in the frame feeders, and some people say that you can't feed them this time of the year. Well, some years you can, it's too cool, but it's been 60s and 70s, and we've been feeding bees like crazy. Now it's again a little breezy, so we don't want to keep the brood out too awful long. We're going to start from this edge frame, and it's got a good bit of weight in it. They've been storing that sugar syrup. And there are those bees just all over the place. Alright, so lots of food right there. That's good. These bees, especially if we get some real cool nights, which you know we will between now and springtime. It's first week of March. Here you go, Josh. Don't say I never gave you nothing.
Yeah, man, this frame's heavy. This comb was empty about a week or so ago.
Yeah, and they need it. And when they got that much food, they'll let that queen just lay wide open.
It may be a bit early, but I recently did a box switch because the brood's nest is all up into the top box. I figured it was a good time to switch them.
Check this frame right here, Laurel. This is almost all bee bread with a little bit of sugar syrup towards the top. And it takes about a frame of pollen or bee bread to make a frame of brood. So that's a lot of bees fixing to happen. Let's see if we can get over here into the brood just a little bit more. And for those of you who aren't familiar with working bees, they typically will put all the sugar syrup towards the outside, or the honey. Brood will go towards the middle, and the pollen will be in between the honey and the brood. Alright, so we're seeing a good bit of brood. I'm seeing some drone brood over here. Actually seeing a few drones.
No kidding.
Yeah, a few drones.
I was afraid of that.
So they hadn't drawn this one out completely full from last year, but they might remedy that before too long. There's some emerging bees. And if you'll check over here, we've got a chubby drone right there. And that is quite something to have as many drones as we've seen in Tennessee this early, but it's agriculture for you. And wow, there's a bunch of bees in that bottom box too. We probably won't drop down in there. There's no reason. This time of the year, what would you do in a hive if you were going through your bees and it's early March in Kentucky or Tennessee or the nearby regions? All you're wanting to do is see that your queen's laying really good, that they have heavy frames of food. Oh, there's the queen right there. And make sure that they're going forwards. You got to get them ready for that honey flow. Also make sure that a big colony like this in the next couple weeks isn't going to swarm. So you find your queen like this, or isolate her with a queen excluder, and you pull a couple frames of brood and you give it to some of the smaller colonies that we're fixing to check in a little bit, as long as they're clean and healthy. So that queen is doing a great job right there. And this is exactly what we want to see this time of the year. Keep this colony from swarming and have a good season, and I bet these bees can make 100 pounds of honey. And we've seen several sourwood trees today, and hoping that they'll yield some good nectar this year.
It's definitely a fan favorite.
Oh yeah, it's hard to beat. So I've got all this capped brood right in here, and honestly, this inspection, we're done with this. I mean, really, there's no reason to check anymore. Those bees look great. It's the easy keepers that really take the least amount of time. It's the, oh, see that right there? Those bees, little bit of smoke, help them out. Had I not been doing a video, I probably would have hit them already by now, but get caught up with all the stuff. And you know, these are Josh's bees, so I'm going to stir them up real good so he'll have fun working them next week.
Oh yeah.
There you go. Get that, yep, cranked on over. There we go. And I'm just going to tip this up real quick.
You can't help yourself, can you?
I can't help myself. That box has got plenty of weight in it.
Yeah, because I just recently did a box switch with these, so I'm kind of curious to...
Yeah, there you go. So
no need to be curious.
So you just rotated the boxes on this, huh?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, that queen's already up in that top box filling it up.
They had brood in both boxes, and I put it all on the bottom.
Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with that right there. That's what you like to see in every hive. So let's go over and check some of those colonies that had some issues and see what they're up to. Just like any operation, including ours or several commercial beekeepers that I've visited, there's always a few colonies that aren't quite as robust as the rest of them. Here's a couple hives though that were brought into Josh's apiary last year with an interesting situation. They definitely aren't as big as the rest of them. So you care to explain how long you've been keeping bees first, and then kind of how these colonies came about?
Well, this is my third year, and I consider myself really lucky to have these, and I feel a strong obligation to really keep them healthy and keep them alive, because it was one of my best friends. He ended up passing away back last spring, and they went through the duration of the entire year, and they, you know, there's no honey pulled off of them, no splits were made, so they were just kind of left to fend for themselves till late fall. And his widow actually contacted me and wanted to know if I could come and get them, because she said she couldn't lift the boxes and she didn't know a lot about the bees, but she would help him pull honey and stuff like that, you know. But I got them, and they were in really bad shape, because I suspect they had really high mite loads, because I seen a lot of K-wing and they were really small. And I started hitting them pretty heavily with Apiguard, and I started really laying the feed to them. And I got them super heavy, and I put my sugar patties on over the winter and monitored these really closely. Not just because I don't ever want to see any colony die, but these are extra sentimental to me. So I really tried to pull through and pull out every trick in the book to ensure that these were alive, you know, just because they had belonged to my friend.
Well, but these are alive.
But I've given them pollen patties, and I've got the feeders in there, and I think they're doing pretty decent.
Well, check this frame out. So we've got pollen patties, and there's a sugar syrup, and they look like they've trained pretty good bit. That one's got more bees in it right there. But this right here, even though this colony is smaller, that's a good brood pattern. You can see some of the larvae down in there probably. And there's some new fuzzy bees, and they're expanding out from the center. Oh, you want a smoker? You know, I guess so. You know, this is part of the initiation process. They're eating the patty pretty good for the size that they are. You can see where they've eaten that in between the frame, and that's a really good sign. When bees are eating good, it's always a good sign. Yeah, this colony is a little bit smaller. You can see over here, Laurel, that the cluster's really staying more on this side. They're not really big enough to be able to expand the full depth of the frame. But when you see a pattern like that in early March, things are looking the way that they need to, clean and right. So this colony's on the way up. It's going to need some feed and nutrition to get where it needs to be, and probably take out a frame of brood from one of these big boys that needs to be pulled back. But I think these bees are doing all right, Josh.
Look at that drone brood.
Yeah, they got a lot of drone brood. So I noticed he was using foundations. You can see the wires.
Oh yeah.
A wax foundation. It's a lot of drone brood right there.
Good boy.
But bees are only going to raise that much drone brood if they got a lot of nutrition. But you can see down in here, Laurel, and folks, where you got these wires, and that's the wax foundation versus the plastic foundation. And the bees will oftentimes chew out the bottoms of it so they can go back and forth. And that's the way I used to do it.
They seem to build more drone-sized cells on wax foundation. They build what they want to, don't they?
They do. It was a big chore to always wire those in. It was a real big pain. I don't miss it. I respect people that still do it, but I just don't miss it. All right, over here, Laurel, I've got the queen. Oh, she just ducked around the side. That's one of the reasons why a lot of commercial beekeepers and queen rearers go to plastic sheets, because it keeps that queen from ducking around. There she is again. But she can duck around the inside of these frames a lot more. It's a lot harder to catch queens and find them when they can go through all these gaps here. But that pattern, Josh, is great. And you and I were, oh, that's a great pattern right there too.
Especially for almost an outside frame.
Yeah, twist that around and show Laurel that frame right there. So these two little colonies,
Emerging bees too,
you've been babying them, trying to get them up, out of the gate, going fast to be able to make a little bit of honey and also be able to make some splits with them before too long. They both look healthy and clean. They were struggling with a little bit of deformed wing virus and K-wing last year, but you know, Josh is in his 3rd season, but the whole time that I've known him, you've done a good job about making sure the bees have enough food and making sure that the mites are controlled and crushed, which is important. So
yeah, I hate them.
Yeah, well, we all do, but when you can have a great queen in there and dead mites and good nutrition, then it's just trying to keep up with the bees.
It's a bit cool today, and you can sure tell it, because that propolis seems to have extra strength, and it's cold, don't it?
Well, you know, you didn't eat your Wheaties this morning.
that may be it.
Yeah, this pattern's good. They just need a good brood cycle, a little bit of help. So, you know, folks, it's always nice seeing the bees laying good patterns like this. Look at that right there. That's,
speaking of good patterns,
that hive's going to need an extra box before too long.
Yeah, they are. Oh my goodness, it's like that on both sides.
Yeah, that's probably around 5,500 new bees going to be emerging out in the next 21 days or less.
These were wild caught bees also.
So
the individual that I ended up getting these from, he really prided himself in catching wild swarms. That was his favorite thing.
Wild swarms of bees. Well, these bees are looking good, but it looks like there's a bunch of bees getting over on Laurel. Well, Josh,
it is a bit cool.
You're doing a great job. I think we're going to go check out your feeder system here in a second. You're doing a good job for only 3 years, and you know we expect good things from you. If not, we're going to make fun of you on the stage.
Well, it's because of people like you having your channel and stuff. There's so many resources, and I'm a big fan of YouTube anyway. Before I was a beekeeper, so it just goes well together.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm very thankful that there's a lot of guys I can learn from on YouTube as well, and it's exciting to see a lot of young guys get into beekeeping, you know, and because if they come in and they invest their time and energy into the industry, it's going to grow, and our knowledge is going to grow, and it's going to innovate, and it's exciting. So, Laurel, you having fun over there yet? She's giving me a big grin. Well, we'll see you all in the next video.
Sorry, I froze. Can we start over?
No, you can't start over. That's not. You can't do that. It's one shot, one kill. That's the way Kamon Reynolds does everything.
Let's do one more take.